Well, good morning. 6 o'clock on the 15th November. It's Charles here from Charles Zen Photography, and we're at Nudgee Beach this morning. It actually looks very overcast this morning, but it's actually not cloud, it's actually fog. Now, I'll just share a little bit of dash cam footage here, because as I was coming from home in Kalanga, it was nice and sunny, but I could just see this cloud on the horizon. I'm like, geez, that's strange. They're not forecasting any clouds today. But then I very soon realised that it was actually like a fog cloud, a fog bank that was just rolling in. Now I'm at Nudgee Beach and it's very overcast, which in one way is actually very good for photographing birds in the shade and all that. But as you can see, with a very grey sky, if there's any birds in trees and all that, I'm not going to get a lot of contrast. So hopefully this fog bank rolls away. But the one thing in summer, when we get these fog banks, it actually indicates that we're going to have a very hot day today. And that's what they're forecasting. 32 degrees for Brisbane today. So now we've just started walking along the trail at Nudgee Beach. Now it's been about 12 months since I've been here last, so hoping to see a few honeyeaters. I can hear some rainbow lorikeets in the trees. I'll share here now, just when I got here, I was talking to another birdie photographer, and this very small little possum just came out. And it was I don't know what happened to its mum, but the birds were really giving it a hard time, the crows and all that. So just a surprise to see. Like, I just parked the car when I noticed it. So I always keep my eyes and ears open, because you never know what's around the corner. And it's always important to actually have a very good sense of hearing, listening for the birds. The rainbow lorikeets are making a lot of noise. I was actually able to hear some sacred kingfishers. So now this track we're on actually does a big loop. So if you keep walking around this track, it takes you at least 40 odd minutes, and the end of the track sort of takes you through the mangroves and all that. So my gear, like usual, shooting with my Nikon D500. The lens is the Nikon 200-500. My settings now for wildlife photography, I shoot in manual mode, auto ISO, and I set my aperture at f5.6, and I adjust my shutter speed to suit the conditions. So if the bird's not moving, I can bring the shutter speed down to about 1/400. If birds moving or flying around, then I can actually just take the shutter speed all the way up to 1/3000th of a second if I wanted to. That's how I shoot. My white balance is always in auto. That's the way I like to shoot. And I either use spot metering or center weighted. 80% of the time it's center weighted, but if I need to, I will actually go down to spot metering, which is mainly if the contrast between my subject and the background is very different, then I'll choose spot metering. Oh, we've actually got a kookaburra. We've actually got a kookaburra up that tree, and a ring-necked dove, which is an introduced species. But there's so little contrast that I'll try to take a photo of it, but... Now, did you hear that? That's actually a cuckoo. That's a little cuckoo. So we're at the Nudgee Beach bird hide here. You can see it just in here. The tide's still low. I'm not going to go walking on the mudflats this morning. I've got my hiking boots on. And the idea was just to walk around the track. But the amount of waders that are here this morning is just incredible out there on the mudflats. And I'll shoot a bit of video, but it's a bit of a distance away. And because of this fog cloud that's above us here, it's very hard to actually get decent pictures at that distance. But it'll just give you guys an idea of the amount of bird life that's here. So if you want to go walking out on the mudflats and all that, you're actually going to get some nice photos out there. We're just going to walk into the bird hide here, and I'll show you what I mean about the waders out on the mud bank here. This is quite a nice spot here. So there's the hide. Oh, there's a White Ibis down there. So this is the mud bank where all the birds are. Zoom in a little bit more. I know it's very hard to tell, but there'd be at least 100 odd waders out there. It's just incredible. We've got an ibis down here, White Ibis. So we'll just continue along, eh? Now I normally bring a small little tripod with me, but for some reason I decided not to take it with me this morning, and really regretting it. It means I've got to hold my Osmo all the time. So whenever I want to take some photos, I've got to stop it. But if you come down here to the Boondle Wetlands, definitely come down on this little path here, because a lot of time you can just about be assured that you'll photograph some Mangrove Gerygone. I hope I pronounced that right. I just got a couple of photos of them, but with the overcast sky, and keep going along the boardwalk. This is a very popular place, so you will actually see a lot of people walking up and down here. Yep, have the pictures. We can actually see a couple of birds in the trees up here in these dead trees, but the light this morning is horrendous. Oh, there's silver eyes. Do you hear that? There's silver eyes. Now that's another bird that it's so beautiful to actually photograph. And they're called silver eyes, of course, because they've got some silver around their eyes. Now, although I like coming to this place, I don't come very often because it's a very hit and miss affair. There's some willy wagtails there. I can see a lot of seagulls and all that on the mud bank a little bit further along. There's a sacred kingfisher calling here. It's a big tide today, so the tide will actually come racing in very quickly. Now sometimes in this area here, you'll actually get to see the rainbow bee eaters. They nest around this area here. Now looking out on this little sandbank and all that, you can actually see some waders, and it looks like there's a couple of Whimbrels in front there. A lot of seagulls. We get a bit closer to the waterline. Now here's an idea for people when you're just starting out photographing wildlife. Don't just stay taking photos standing up. It's so easy to do that, but if you kneel down, you actually get a much better perspective of your birds. There you go. That was a Whimbrel. I did see another bird there, but can't see it now. It is very overcast this morning. Such a shame, because when I left home the sun was shining. This would have been so good today. And just keep an eye for the birds. A lot of brown honeyeaters here. Very hard to see them sometimes, but you can actually recognize their little voice very easily. We're so fortunate in Australia that the local authorities and all that, they just build all this stuff for us so that we can actually enjoy nature. Wow, a lot of seagulls around here. Now I can actually see a couple of egrets there. Looks like one of them is actually a little a little egret. Of course, calling them little egrets because they're so small. Little egrets are very easy to tell. They have a black beak and black legs, and they are very small. So we've just left the boardwalk where I was actually trying to take photos of the ospreys. There's some ospreys there, some waders. I waited around half an hour, and just as I left, one of the ospreys flew away. The clouds are just lifting now, and it's getting on to 7:30 in the morning. Haven't seen too much bird life, but it's been nice coming out here, taking a walk around the boardwalk. Now I'm actually not going to walk too far down here before I backtrack. Going to walk to the next pontoon and see what's around, and then we'll walk back towards my car, which is at Nudgee Beach. But like I tell people, some days are good, some days are bad, but if you don't get out here, you never get the photos that you want. Saying that, I can't complain. I've actually got a couple of really nice photos of a small egret taking off and landing. Just looked great. It was just great timing, just concentrating on what I was doing. Now I'm not talking too much because I'm just hoping to see a bit of wildlife around. Now we're just coming up to the last little pontoon before I actually do my U-turn. Now if you're coming here to actually take photos of the sunrise and all that, before you go, if you actually come down here, you could actually get a couple of really nice photos. Like, I'm always on the lookout. If you look at this, if you're shooting with a wide angle lens, this scene like this, now just look at that. You've got the bench on the left here, the railing coming through. This actually would look really nice as a photo. So this is where I do my U-turn. And you see the path just keeps going there and then just heads back into the mangroves. But this just takes me further and further away from my car, so. And I found there's not much down there, so I normally don't go any further. This is where I love the Osmo Mobile, because I can actually sort of just spin it around to wherever I want. Now we'll see if there's any birds around here. We're in for a 2 metre plus tide today, so you can see the water's actually come up all the way into the mangroves here. If we look here, you can actually see. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. There is a huge muddy. Well, there's two of them. I don't know if you can see them. They're just underneath that branch there. They're mating. Whoa. How fluky is that? Let's see if I can get a photo. I don't think so. No, they're going back into the... You can just see them there. Can you see them there? Look. Look at that. That is incredible. So the male's on top and the female's underneath. Oh, that is just amazing. And can you hear the sacred kingfishers in there calling out? In this sort of environment, they're very hard to spot because they blend in so well, even though they're blue. Now, did you see the video? It was amazing. I actually got video of two mud crabs mating. A photo's great, but like a video, it was just... That sort of made my day. Until now, it'd been a bit boring, especially when you do these vlogs showing people what's around. When there's not much bird life around, it's sort of a little bit of a disappointment because people like to see all the birds. But for me, it's a highlight. It was just great. So this is Nudgee Beach area. There's two car parks, the one we just went past. And this one here where there's amenities. It's getting a bit warm now, around 9 o'clock. The beach is just behind these mangroves here. And as you can see, it's a beautiful spot. You can come down here for a picnic. There's a few birds around. I wouldn't say it's the most populated area for birds, but there's some birds around. We had a nice time here this morning. I can actually see some blue-faced honeyeaters here. There's 3 of them up in the tree here. It's always the way, you put the camera down and the birds come out. Yeah, 4 of them. So it's 9 o'clock, Sunday morning. I've finished the photo walk now. It's just getting a little bit too warm outside. Like always, I was using my trusty Nikon D500 with the Nikon 200 to 500mm lens. I had a fairly good time this morning. Met up with another bird photographer, had a walk around, didn't see too much. This is a very nice place to come for a walk. And like many places, you really don't know what you're going to find until you're out here. So I tell people it's always good to try to have a bit of variation, like don't always go to the same place. For me, sometimes it's hard to get myself out to other places, but when I have the opportunity, I try to go out to a new place or to a place that I haven't been for a while, like the Wetlands. I haven't been here for well over a year. So now just a quick plug for my latest YouTube video. Talks about how to set up back button focusing on the Nikon D500. So if you struggle, or if you're wondering why you should use back button focusing on your D500, then watch this video here. It'll definitely help you out, whether you're shooting landscape, astro, or wildlife. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Charles for Charles N Photography. Bye for now.